Hello, and welcome back to this walkthrough of Final Fantasy VI with me, jrpg. In the last episode, we began the search for Terra, but learned a little more about our friends along the way. Sabin's departure from Figaro was settled with a coin toss, which is something we'll want to keep in mind, and Locke is still racked with guilt over the fate of his lost love Rachel, which explains his strong desire to protect both Celeste and Terra. Speaking of Terra, all signs point to her being here in the town of Zozo, a place built by the poor who all left Jadur. I've mentioned it already, but this town is one of my favorite places in any RPG ever, so let's check it out. And immediately it's pouring rain, and the song playing in here is so good. Now, the first thing that's going to jump out at you is that there are actually random encounters in this town, and it is amazing. It's a great way of showing that this place is dangerous without just telling you so. Now, one thing we can do with these gobbledygooks is use the noise blaster on them. That's going to confuse them all, and a third of the time they will cast Vanish, so we can end up getting some party members vanished, which is pretty sweet. Celeste can't really do anything useful with these guys, but let's try stealing. So the gobbledygooks have a Phoenix down as a common steal, and an eye drop is a rare steal, so that is nice. And they are weak to poison, so we'll go ahead and use a Bioblaster. I'm not going to wait around here all day and try to get Vanish on everybody. In fact, it's kind of hard to hang on to because you end up getting hit with magical attacks. And similarly, if they manage to cast Vanish on a party member that's already vanished, the Vanish will disappear. So it's not really worth, like, I don't know, trying to be perfect about it. But we managed to get 2 people vanished, which is pretty good. This is probably the easiest encounter in here. There's going to be some pretty dangerous enemies in here. This place is definitely not messing around. In fact, we will probably lose a party member or 2 along the way, but we have plenty of healing items at Phoenix Down, so we're going to be just fine. Now, the first place I want to go is the cafe right here. And what's going to end up happening is this guy's going to say, clock second hand, pointing at 30. Now, we don't exactly know what that means right now, but we do know that everyone here is a liar. That is actually true. So we can rule out the clock's hand pointing at 30. It definitely is not. Okay, slam dancers are pretty dangerous if they are the final monster left. They will start casting level 2 magic, and if they do a single target on that, it's going to absolutely wreck the person it targets. So we're going to try and kill the Slam Dancer and hope that we can get more invisible. More invisible than we already are. So I'm going to go ahead and use a drill on the Slam Dancer. I do not want to leave her for last. And speaking of that, we just stole a potion from the Slam Dancer. That's the common steal, but they also have a Thief Knife as a rare steal. We've already got one of those, and you'll kind of notice a common theme in that there's nothing in particular that's, like, really necessary to steal. It's all just kind of nice, and I really like that. Like, you could just go through the whole game not really stealing and be totally fine. All right, down they go. And at the top of the stairs to the left here is going to lead us nowhere, but it will give us kind of a nice little view of the town. But let's head to the right. God, I'm just so happy to be in Zozo. And through here, we can find a tincture. And that's going to be nice to have because we're primarily going to be using Celeste to heal. We don't really want to spend her MP willy-nilly. And this door is rusted shut. We can't get through here for right now, but we'll want to remember that as well. Ooh, this is a rare encounter. Hades Gigas and a Harvester. Let's talk about the Harvester first. So they have Goggles as a common steal and Dragoon Boots as a rare steal. We'll talk about that relic in just a second, but they will also counter a successful steal by stealing Gil from you and can throw Mithril Knives at you if you leave them alive for too long, and believe me, those can one-shot you. Now, Hades Gigas has 1200 HP, and you can suplex him, which is pretty sweet, but we're just going to be using Horrible. And you can steal Atlas Armlets from him. Now, I'm going to show that once when the opportunity comes up, but you can really abuse it and get like a bunch of Atlas Armlets before you leave this place. But for now, we're just going to kill him as quick as we can. Now, the thing is on death, 1/3 of the time he will cast Magnitude 8. Ooh, but Celeste levels up. Hold on. She's going to learn the Imp spell, and that is what I was talking about. We are going to be able to make great use of that. But to finish my thought, he will use Magnitude 8 1/3 of the time when he dies, which is super devastating. Oh no, it's a single slam dancer. This is a problem. Yep, there goes Bolt 2, dead. And I can just never seem to runic in time. I mean, maybe I should put the running shoes on Celeste and try it that way, but I kind of like having Locke get to go first and just really maximizing that speed stat of his. So let's go ahead and raise Sabin. I told you we were going to lose some people. There's just basically nothing you can do about it, other than just get lucky, which I will not. Oh, and I lost my Invis there casting Cure, but whatever, it's going to be fine. All right, time to move on to the next building. And just look at the design of this place. Like, there's just dead bodies on the ground. It's crazy. This guy says this place is dangerous. Don't you dare think about jumping between buildings. Now, he's telling the truth about this place being dangerous, but we are definitely going to think about jumping between buildings. That's going to come up in just a moment. Now, for now, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the time, and we'll want to keep it in mind. So the clock's hands have stopped. Please reset the hour. Now, we can't do anything with this right now because we don't know the code. I mean, I know the code, but we're going to find it the old-fashioned way by actually going through the clues. But these are all of our options, and we'll want to keep these in mind. So we'll need the hour, the minute, and the second. But we can't do anything else for now, so let's keep going. Okay, and from here, we can travel to the west. And we can find the weapon shop right here. Now this one is kind of tough. This guy says that clock has no minute hand. It's never pointing to the right time anyway. Now we know he's lying, so let's check out the clock. The hand is pointing at the 2. So because he said there's no minute hand, that is the minute hand. The minute hand is pointing at the 2, meaning that it is 10. Now he said the time's never right, but that means that it is correct. So we know for a fact that when we reset the clock, the minute hand is going to be 10. And now one other thing I should mention is that we are targeting one more level up for Sabin. He's going to learn a new blitz once he levels up. And before we leave, we'll want to check out the armor shop. And you'll notice that none of these are actual shops, but we can find a tonic in this one. But nobody here wants to sell us anything. They all just kind of want to kill us. So 1 or 2 fights ago, we did successfully manage to steal a Dragoon Boots, and I said I would talk about it. So what that would do is change your fight command to jump, which would deal 50% extra damage from the back row, unless you happen to be wielding a spear, in which case it would deal 100% extra damage, making it a great relic for Edgar or Maud. This guy says, girl, haven't seen any girls here. Might want to check the top of this building. And now, I think he's lying about saying he hasn't seen any girls, but he's telling the truth about checking the top of this building, so it's a little bit inconsistent. And let's keep going up. Ooh, so I did want to show this now that we've got Imp. So let's go ahead and Imp this big old dude. I find it remarkable that this works. I don't really know how you're supposed to know, just other than pure experimentation, but now that he's an Imp, we can just have everyone defend. He's only going to be able to attack for about 30 damage, and he won't be able to cast his Magnitude 8. So we're safe to just sit here while he's kind of captive and steal an Atlas Armlet, just like that. Now, I'm not going to abuse that, I just wanted to demonstrate it once, but you could end up leaving this place with a bunch of Atlas Armlets if you really wanted to. But that is a very, very safe way of dealing with the Hades Gigas, because that Magnitude 8 could really mess you up. Now, there's going to be a big line of guys in here, and we're going to want to talk to all of them. This one says, phew, how long are we going to have to do this? And I wanted to get past him, but that's okay. They will repeat. So let's talk to the one behind us. Great people here, he says. He is definitely lying about that. This guy behind the counter tells us to get in line, and we're not going to do that. We're going to stand right here so they can teleport through us. Now, this guy's going to say it's now 2 o'clock, meaning that we can rule out the hour being 2 o'clock. And we can also rule out it being 12. 10 o'clock, time to go home. No, it absolutely is not. This guy says you can trust me, it's 8. And this guy tells us that it's 4 o'clock. So everything is ruled out except for 6 o'clock. So now, we are pretty close to understanding what we have to set the clock to. We know that it is 6:10, but we don't know the seconds quite yet. Now there's this crane here, and now we don't want to go down, but my theory is that this is in the game so that you don't have to walk back through that room if you did decide to turn back. You can use this as a shortcut to get back down, but we want to keep going up. All right, let's go ahead and top up. Looking pretty good. We're actually doing really well. We only had one person die so far. Now through here is something interesting, and that would be the Thief Glove. Let's go ahead and pull that up. This is obviously going to be something for Log, so it changes Steel into Capture, and what that means is that it combines Steel and Attack. However, it comes with a significant drawback in that it will eliminate any of the special weapon properties. Now, 99% of those are going to be worse. Like, I think one of them is for the better, but the point is I like our setup right now with the running shoes. I like having Lock go first and really maximizing that speed stat, so we're just not going to use it. Although you definitely could. Now, we can't get through here, so let's turn back. And now, let's think about jumping between buildings like our friend up there. And there we go. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is there's a minor visual glitch where you're pointing to the left when you jump to the right. You can kind of see that you hop up facing left. Not a big deal, but it is there, so I did want to mention it. Ooh, alright, Sabin gained a level and devised a new blitz. I do love that he devises them, but why don't we go right ahead and check that out? This is going to be called Fire Dance, and it is a fire elemental attack that hits all enemies. The best way to describe this is by doing half circle back in fighting game parlance, but you can just tap left, left, down, right, right to get it to come out as well. And you'll notice that Sabin's HP is really low there. He got beat up in that fight. And we're out of MP, but we can go ahead and use our tincture. We also have a bunch of elixirs that we found in clocks as well, so we're not really hurting for that. I don't want to use it, but it's what we're going to end up having to do. Alright, now up here, we can find another tincture and a potion, and let's talk to this guy. The second hand of my watch is pointing at 4. Now, what does that mean? It means that he's saying that it's pointing at 20 seconds, so we can eliminate 20 seconds now. So both 30 and 20 have been ruled out. Do we need to top up? Yeah, maybe a little bit. And this guy says the seconds, they're divisible by 20. Now, that means that the clue we just got was redundant, where this would also eliminate 20, and I think that that's a mistake, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but that will eliminate 20, 30, and 40, leaving 10 and 50 as the final two options, and we're not going to get any more clues. Which is precisely why I think it's a mistake. There's a redundant clue, so it seems like 10 or 50 should have been eliminated at some point, so we're just going to have to guess, although I know which one it is. And now we just have to keep going up. And up and up. Now in here, we're going to find the Fire Knuckle for Sabin. And this is a really, really powerful weapon. Not only does it bump your battle power up to 148, but it will also cast fire 1/4 of the time you use the fight command. We're not really going to be using the fight command, but it is sweet nonetheless. And now this door leads to nowhere, so there's nothing to do but talk to this guy. He says, "Good day, gentle folks. Can I be of service? I hate fighting, so I'd better let you pass." And I think we know he's lying. So this is Dataluma. He has 3,270 HP. And he has a lot of nasty counterattacks. I'll talk about those in just a second. We're not going to have to worry about those because he's going to be an imp. Now we just got the common steel there. He will reply with a steel of his own. However, if we use magic twice, he will counter with a throwing dirk or mithril knife, and then using the jump command, and he will double throw something. Whoops, I didn't mean to steal there, but that's okay. He will double throw something if you use fight 4 times, but I don't really know why you'd be using the fight command that much anyway. And he uses a couple of potions and tries to cast safe, but he can't do it because he's an imp. Imp is just really, really strong for this section. It's kind of unbelievable. Now we managed to steal the jewel ring. That was the common steal, and the rare steal would have been a sneak ring. And from this fight, the common win is a thief knife, and then we can also win a headband as the rare. And we get to get a look at Fire Dance right now, which is really sweet. But this is not going to last very much longer. I just keep accidentally trying to steal from him. And Flash was pretty suboptimal there, but it killed him anyway. Down goes Dadaluma, the silly little imp. Now what will we win? A thief knife, no luck today, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and top up. But we're almost finished with this place. Let's get to the top of the building and see if Terra's there. Now, there are a couple of treasures in here that we want to grab before we go all the way up. An X potion. And some more running shoes. Although our relic setup right now is such that I don't even really have anyone to put it on. Like, we could get rid of the sprint shoes, but I'm not going to walk slow. And I like everything else I have going on. So we're just going to leave them for now. And there she is. It's Terra. Ugh. I've certainly made that sound waking up. Terra? Terra? And Ramu says she's scared, you know. Who are you? Ramu says this girl is your friend? Is Terra all right? You call her Terra. Terra? How odd. Ramu says she's undamaged, but I fear she can't understand you. As for me, I'm Ramu. The Esper Ramu. Esper? But don't Espers live in another world? Ramu says that doesn't mean we don't live here too. Espers take a variety of forms. Sometimes we live here, taking the shape of humans. You have nothing to fear from us. Why do you hide the fact that you're Espers? Ramu says humans and Espers can't survive together. And Locke says, but my grandma told me that Espers and people once lived side by side. Was that just a fairy tale? Ramu replies, no, that was no fairy tale. That was true. We started out as friends. Then along came the War of the Magi. War of the Magi. Ramu says it took place long ago. Espers fought humans who were infused with magical power extracted from Espers. Fearing our magical powers would once again become a target, we fashioned a new realm and moved there. About 20 years ago, humans stumbled upon it. Humans who knew about Espers and the secret to Magitech power. Thus began a hunt for Espers. Only in this way could Emperor Gestahl create his invincible army. In response to this, we erected a doorway and threw the humans out. Ramu Ramu says even as we speak, many of my kind are trapped in the Empire's Magitech research facility, being drained of their powers. I fled here to avoid a similar fate. And Edgar and Locke gently move Terra back to bed. That's right, relax. I sensed that Terra was in trouble. My magic summoned her here. Terra's an Esper? Ramu replies, no, she's actually quite different. Terra looks like she's in pain. Ramu says her very existence strikes fear into her own heart. How can we help her? Ramu says when she accepts this aspect of herself, I think she'll be all right. We have to do something. Ramu replies, then free those of my kind imprisoned in Gestal's Magitech research facility. One of them can surely help her. If we find the Magitech research facility, you're sure we'll find your people? And Celeste says, Magitech research facility. Your people are... And let's keep in mind that that is where Celeste got her magic powers, so she is feeling very, very uncomfortable right now. Ramu says, like a coward, I escaped leaving the others there. It'll be the end of them. What do you mean? Ramu says Gestal's methods are incorrect. You can't drain a live Esper of all its power. It is only when we are reduced to Magicite that our abilities can be transferred in total. Pardon? Ramu says when we transform into Magicite, our power can be relocated. Magicite? Ramu says that's what's left of us when we pass away. These are my comrades who fell while escaping the Empire, and I will give you my power as well. Old man, are you really gone? Magicite? He traded his power so that others might live. That's right, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Why are you doing this? Ramu says, we few can help save many. The War of the Magi must not be repeated. And we received the Magicite Ramu. And there are a few more right up here. Stray, Siren, and Kieran. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for right now, Terra, wait for us. We'll be back. Because Magicite is a really, really big deal, and I have a lot to say. But... everyone here, I was thinking. Edgar says, let's talk on the way. Edgar says the Empire's trying to drain magic from Espers. Sabin says this can't be true. Celeste? Celeste says, I don't remember because I was asleep when they augmented me. But I've heard rumors to that effect. Cyan says, then we're going in. And Edgar replies, we best split into 2 groups. We still need to beef up our defenses in Narsh. Cyan replies, indeed. Celeste says, I'll go to the Empire. I know it well. Sabin says, but alone? And Locke says, don't worry, I'll go with her. Celeste says, Locke. Cyan says, you need a hand? And now we have to choose a party, and I think we're going to keep rocking with our current setup, although you could definitely take Gao with you because he is really, really powerful for this point in the game, but I kind of think I've demonstrated that, and I don't particularly enjoy playing with Gao, so we're going to go with Edgar and Sabin. And keep it the same, despite the fact that our 2 remaining party members are falling behind a little bit, but it should be fine. Locke says, please wait for us in Narsh. We'll find our way back safely. And if you wish to change group members, head for Narsh. That's right, we would have to travel all the way back to Narsh, so hopefully we made the right call here. Celeste says, so, how are we going to get there? The Empire's on the continent to the south. No boats go there. Locke says, the people of Jadur, a town to the south, can probably help us. Celeste says, Locke. And Locke says, yes. And Celeste says, why are you coming with me? And Locke says, well, there are bound to be treasures there, and you'll notice he's looking away from her right now because he's not really telling the truth. And besides, I've always wanted an inside look at the Empire. Now, let's talk to this ghost over here. Seems you have a piece of magicite. Want to learn more about espers? And let's tell him yes. To use an esper, it must be equipped. Choose skills from the menu, then select espers. During battle, select magic and press up on the control pad. Press the A button to use the esper. And that is how summons work in this game. However, you can only use them once per battle. But it is pretty cool, nonetheless. They have a lot of unique effects and interesting things, but most of the time you're not going to use them. They're pretty expensive, and really there are just better options. Learning magic. Learn new spells by equipping espers. Switch espers to learn different sets of spells. The higher the learning speed, the faster a spell is learned. When equipped, some espers will raise qualities. Strength, and I don't know why they call it strength here when it's actually vigor, but whatever. HP, MP, etc., to their maximum limits at the next level up. Now, I want to talk about this for just a moment, so feel free to skip ahead if you don't care too much about the mechanics, but you may have noticed that when we level up, none of our actual stat attributes increase. And I can already hear you saying, but Eurypidus, you end up with more HP and you deal more damage. How does that work? Well, your actual level number is included in damage calculations, but you don't gain any stat boosts from leveling up, but you can via espers. And that's what I was talking about when I was saying I don't really want to grind. You'd like to minimize leveling up until you can get your hands on espers so that you can really max out those stats. Now, you could be a complete psychopath about it and switch out espers like when a level up is imminent to get that stat boost like per character. We're not going to be micromanaging it that much. We're just going to kind of equip them, let it ride until we learn the spell and switch them out. But you can be as insane about it as you want to be. For us, we're going to go with a kind of medium pace. I find that if you really, really micromanage it, what you end up doing is being underpowered for the first half of the game, and then being mega overpowered for the last half of the game, and I would rather keep things on more of an even keel. Anyway, let's go ahead and put some espers on. So the first one I want to do is going to be for Celeste, and I want to say that's Stray. Yep, so at level up, that's going to give us +1 magic power. It's not going to teach her any particularly useful spells, but I do want to max out her magic power and just kind of pound on what people are the best at. So for Locke, that's things like speed, and for our spellcasters, that's going to be things like magic power. So let's go ahead and throw that on her. And then the only other one that we want is going to give a little bit of stamina, which is not a big deal. And that's going to be Ramu, right? Yeah, so we'll go ahead and throw that on Locke. Not super important, but him learning some magic could make him more useful. Like, if he is finished stealing, he doesn't really have anything great to do, and Bolt and Bolt 2 are very, very strong, as well as Poison. That's a good one to have as well. And then the other two don't really matter. But I'm gonna go ahead and give Sabin the HP, I think. And that's gonna be Siren, right? Yep. We'll throw that here, and then we'll put Kieran on Edgar, since it's the only one we have left. Now, we have one more thing to do before we leave, and that's to go solve that clock puzzle. So let's go ahead and do that immediately. Okay, so we know that it is 6, 10, and the last one you just have to guess between 10 and 50, but I know it's 50. And that's going to open up the way over here, and let's find the chainsaw. Now, the chainsaw is very similar to the drill in that it is a defense ignoring physical attack. It is stronger than the drill, but a quarter of the time it will attempt to inflict instant death. So if the monster is immune to that, the drill may sometimes be a more reliable damage option. However, I think the chainsaw is much cooler, so we're going to be using that kind of a lot. I mean, what is reliability, really, when you could be doing something totally awesome instead? This guy says, Zozo, never heard of it, and he is also lying. One last lie to finish this place off. Now let's head back to Jadur. I'm gonna show one fight here since I've been cutting them all out to show something. And that is that at the end of battles, we're going to get magic points. And that's going to factor into that sort of percent learning of spells that we saw on the Esper screen. And I just kind of want to show you that really quick. So we get 2 magic points there. And a soft, why not? But if we go ahead and check out our magic, and we all have MP now as well, which is kind of insane, we can see that we're 60% of the way to learning Bolt, 30% of the way to learning Poison, and 12% of the way to learning Bolt 2. So the stronger stuff you're going to learn a bit slower. But we can all use magic now, which is very, very exciting, and pretty much what this game revolves around entirely combat-wise from here on out. Alright, we're going to have to find a way to get to the Empire's capital, but that's going to have to wait until next time, because I'm all out of time for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Final Fantasy Friday.